What's up, y'all? I am back for another video, and I'm gonna continue, in my opinion, the last Home Alone movie because the other ones aren't even worthy. Because the thing is, Home Alone 1 and 2 are just such a perfect back to back, and Home Alone 2 ends it. What more could you have done with that story? Okay, he gets lost, what, in a different country now? Okay, so in the first one, it was his house. He was left at his house, and then in the second one, it was he's in a different state. So now let's do what? Are they gonna do a different country? You can't do this story over and over again. This isn't like Friday the 13th or like a slasher. The amount of victims in those movies. You can always just bring in a new crop. You can't do that with these movies. That's why Home Alone 2 just to me works because it ends it. Kevin reconciles with his family a second time. End of story. You know, and then you just do this. You're just doing the same thing, and that's what those sequels were. They were just basically, oh, kids left home alone, and bumbling robbers are trying to fucking get them, or they're trying to steal something in the house. It's the same thing. And then the other robbers weren't Harry and Marv, so it was just the same dynamic. Okay. Anyway, before I go on a rant about the other Home Alone movies, Home Alone 2 to me is my favorite one. I love the first one, but I even as a kid, I always watched 2 way more. Sometimes I wouldn't even watch the first one. Sometimes I just watch 2 by itself. I love the first one, but 2 to me it was just so fun. Yes, after rewatch, I would agree. It very much is just a retread of the first one. Even it's very much paced the same way. I mean, even down to you, like in the first one, you have Kevin's parents, waking up at the same time and freaking out. Oh, we're late. They even do that in this. They do the same thing, but it's done. It's still a fun film. Kevin, in my opinion, is a lot better in this. I mean, I thought he was fine in the first one, but I definitely like him more in this one. I love the New York setting. Um, I like because he was more. I mean, yeah, he was alone in the first one, but in the first one they were kind of cutting back between him and his family. Whereas in this, they do it a couple of times, but mainly it was more his family. It was more about Kevin this time around. Harry and Marv are fucking great. Joe Pesci is a fucking boss. Like the fact he could play a bumbling goof like this in these movies and in Lethal Weapon, but then be a fucking scary dude in fucking in Goodfellas is crazy. Like that's how good of an actor he is. The music's all around great. It has a great message. It it's fun to watch around Christmas, and Tim Curry, even though he's not in it a lot, is fucking great in this as like the asshole fucking check-in guy at the hotel. He's fucking great. But um, I definitely had fun watching this one. I would heavily recommend watch these back to back because they work. Like watching the first one and the second one back to back is is perfect. Tomorrow I will be not tomorrow later. I will be doing another video. We're gonna be continuing on with Jackie Chan Mondays, where I will be reviewing First Strike, and I'll be reviewing that one probably like my normal time, a little bit later. And then tomorrow I will be reviewing continuing on with the Tarantino journey with Jackie Brown. Very underrated movie from him. Like a lot. This is a movie a lot of people don't talk about that much. So I'll be talking about that one tomorrow. But let's kick off the review. Um, so this movie opens. We kind of get like a similar opening, you know. We see his family. Everyone's like all in a rush, packing their stuff because they're getting ready for a trip to Miami. We see Kevin. You know, we still kind of see he's still kind of like the black sheep of the family. He goes to a school recital, you know, because Christmas time, and his older brother Buzz, he's like this dude looks like he don't even look like a high schooler at this point. He looks like he's like in his 20s. He does a prank on Kevin. Kevin pushes him, causes like a bunch of people to fall, and then his family are all mad at him, and Buzz is trying to act all innocent by like, oh, I'm sorry, and God, like, man, Kevin's family are still pieces of shit. Like, I, I always kind of, even as a kid, I always like, God, man, they do treat him like shit, don't they? In a fucked up way. Even, like, and I know this is a random reference because I'm not even the biggest fan of this franchise, but the family that takes in Harry, I feel like treat Harry better than the way his Kevin's family here do. Like, they continue to treat him like shit. So that's why I was like applauding when Kevin was going off on him. It's like, man, fuck all y'all. And his mom sends him to his room and is like, you get like a similar scene like in the first one where he's like, I wish I was on my own and I wish I was going on my own. Sorry about that. He said, I wish I was going on my own vacation. Then the next morning, everyone's getting ready for their trip. Kevin's actually there this time because he wants, because his dad has, like, I think it was his dad has his camera's batteries in it, so he wanted it. He goes in his dad's bag while the family's all rushing to get to the plane. He gets the bags, but he ends up following a guy who looks like his dad, but it turns out is not. He ends up boarding a plane that is to New York City instead of to Florida. So he ends up in New York City, and after that, we get like a fun little scene where he's like visiting the sites and stuff. And I love this movie. It's so fun. The score is like kind of like in the first one. John Williams, I think, still did the music in this one. It's very Christmassy. It's not like it's not one of his more iconic scores like Jurassic Park or any of his Star Wars stuff, but it definitely is really good. It has like this Christmas sound to it. So at the same time, while his family, before his family woke up, we get this newspaper shot where it reveals Marv and Harry have broken out of prison. So they arrive in New York, and they plan to break into a toy store. And Kevin goes to check in because he steals some of his dad's money and his dad's credit card, and he goes to check himself into the Plaza Hotel. This is where we get. Sorry about that. This is where we get the Trump cameo. That there are people out there that literally, when they would replay this movie, I forgot what channel it was. They literally edited out Trump's cameo. It's so fucking stupid. But anyway. He checks in. This is where you meet Tim Curry, he's so fucking hilarious in this. He's like that character who's like, because he has like, why is this kid checking in by himself and has all this money? But he checks in. We get a little bit of some funny gaps with also Rob Schneider's in this. He also works at the hotel, and I think he has some little funny moments. That night, Kevin watches Angry Angels of Death. I forgot what the film was called. But like the movie they're watching in that, it's crazy how they were able to like film that within the movie, like, because like that movie actually looks like an actual black and white movie, but it's actually they filmed that movie for Home Alone, like specifically. It's crazy. And we get a gag with Tim Curry where Kevin is using his tape recorder, who his uncle earlier says, I'll slap you silly, because earlier in the film he did a gag. If you hear something that's a garbage truck, sorry about that. And it was pretty funny gag with Tim Curry. Very, like I said, very slapsticky. Then the next day, Kevin goes to a toy store while Harry and Marv are scoping it out because they're planning to rob the place. Kevin has a conversation because he buys like I forgot. I think it's like some kind of goo or something, and he checks it out, and it turns out it's actually he was talking to Mr. Duncan, who owns the place, and Mr. Duncan gives him this turtle dove, and it's actually a nice little scene, like in the movie, and then Harry and Marv realize it's fucking Kevin, so they get him, and then we get probably, in my opinion, one of the funniest scenes in the movie. This is a scene I always remembered as a kid. Was Kevin fucking... They're behind this woman who earlier, Harry... God damn it. Sorry, guys. Earlier in the film... Harry tries to like hit on this girl or this woman, and she smacks him. It's the same woman. Kevin. Sorry about that. Kevin grabs her ass, makes it seem like it was Harry. She punches Harry, and Marv. Was pretty funny. Pretty funny scene. He runs back to the hotel, but Tim Curry realizes that the card is stolen. So they try to grab him. We get the same gag from the first movie where Kevin plays the scene from the Angry Filthy Souls movie. I think that's the part I remember. Filthy Souls movie, and the guy talking over it, and he does that again in this one, and it's pretty funny. It is a fucking hilarious movie. He does this long enough to get away. Then he tries to go to his uncle's because his dad's brother lives in New York, and he tries to get in, but he can't. So, and we get like this part of the movie where Kevin is like walking alone late at night in New York, and he meets a lot of its crazy, creepy characters, and that was 80s New York was pretty crazy. So, then this is throughout where we see the feathered lady, or the pigeon lady, who, and we get more, who befriends him, and these scenes are actually really, really good. Yeah, it's very much the same, like with Marley, the old man from the first movie. It's very much the same thing, like, he thinks she's this crazy pigeon lady, but no, she's actually this nice lady who's misunderstood. So it is literally paced the same way. So while this is happening, his family make their way to New York. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. His family are making their way to New York when they find they realize, because the dad realizes his car has been used. So then we get back to, we find out the pigeon woman's backstory. She was a woman who fell in love. She fell in love and her lover left her, so she kind of... It's a really sad story. Then Kevin realizes he has to stop Harry and Marv from stealing from the toy store. He gets into his uncle's house, and we get kind of that same scene from the first movie where he sets up the traps and stuff. And Harry and Marv are breaking in the store. Kevin kind of lures them away and has them chase throughout the townhouse, and obviously they get hurt. And I love this movie just for that. And the some of the traps are very much similar, but they're definitely on a bigger scale, that's what a sequel is supposed to do. A sequel is supposed to be like the first one on steroids, in a sense. That's what at least a good sequel anyway is supposed to be. Like in the first one, it was just the house. In this one, is a whole townhouse. So then Harry and Marv get Kevin cornered, and they pull a gun, and then the pigeon lady helps them. Yeah, a bunch of pigeons show up and attack Harry and Marv, and they set up. Kevin sets off fire. I think it was firecrackers or something to like get the police to notice. Harry and Marv get arrested. Kevin gets reunited with his family. Um, Kevin leaves Mr. Duncan a note. Kevin reunites with his family back at home, and then Christmas Day, Kevin gets like a bunch of gifts from Mr. Duncan, and then he gives the pigeon lady a dove, and then the film ends. Really good film. I really fucking love it. It's a fun one. It's pretty much the same movie, arguably, just different. Like certain things are played the same way, but it's fine. And I think it's done in a way it's different. It's done like on a bigger scale, and this one ends it perfectly. Kevin learns his lesson. The family, I think, learned the lesson, but I still think they're shitty people. It's a very just nice, wholesome movie. I usually like action. I like horror. I like sci-fi. I'm more into darker themes. But there's nothing wrong with like these movies. I can find myself watching these this time of year if I want just something nice and wholesome for a little bit. And the score is really fun in this movie. Very Christmassy. I think this film is shot well too. A lot of nice aerial shots, of New York when they arrive and stuff. And it's a nice, funny movie. Tim Curry is great. Joe Pesci is great as the bad guy. Harry and Marv are fucking funny. I love their chemistry. Macaulay Culkin's a great kid actor. I think he's one of the best kid actors, honestly. I definitely really like this one. I will always probably watch this one this time of year. And, yeah. I love the first one, but I definitely like this one a bit more. This one's definitely a 10 out of 10 for Christmas movies. This one ends it because I don't count the other Home Alones. Mainly just because it's just the same thing. Like, basically, Kevin's left home alone, and bad guys are trying to rob the house. That's it. And it's just a different kid. I think the third one was technically supposed to have Macaulay Culkin, and I think they still say McAllister in the third one. I haven't watched the third one in a while. I watched the fourth one like a year ago. It is so fucking bad. There's no point. Like, even if, let's say, Macaulay Culkin were in them, I don't think they would have been good. Like, how can you do that story for a third time? This isn't like a slasher where you have a killer who comes back over and over because they're immortal, like Michael Myers or a Jason. And there's the amount of victims there's an endless wave of victims you can always bring in. You can't, with Home Alone, he gets left alone again? Like, it's like, you can't do that story over and over again before it becomes retarded. So I think 2 movies works. So, yeah, I definitely recommend this one. Watch it after 1. I think 1 and 2 are just such a nice back-to-back. So, later I will be reviewing First Strike, which I rewatched, like, I guess it'd be an hour ago now. It was pretty good. I really liked it, so I'm going to be talking about that later. And, yeah. But other than that, fuck Warner Brothers, fuck Disney, fuck LaBitch James, fuck Colin Kaepernick, fuck Joy Reid, fuck Seth Rogen, fuck Kevin Smith, and fuck the Biden administration. I'll talk to y'all a little bit later. Peace!